My sister tried to steal my fiancé. She froze when I introduced her to his parents. Her smile vanished instantly when she realized the truth. Betrayal met karma. When my sister Olivia first met Daniel, she smiled a little too brightly. At the time, I thought it was just her being her usual charming self. Everyone loved Olivia. But later, I realized that smile wasn't admiration. It was calculation. Daniel and I had been together for 2 years, engaged for 6 months, and planning our wedding for the fall. My family adored him, and he fit in perfectly. Polite, funny, grounded. Or so I thought. Olivia, on the other hand, had always been the golden child. The one who never failed to get what she wanted. The first red flag came during our engagement dinner. While I was thanking everyone for coming, she interrupted to joke that Daniel used to have a crush on her years ago. Everyone laughed, but I felt my stomach twist. Daniel looked caught off guard. He quickly denied it, but the damage was done, a tiny seed of doubt planted in my chest. After that, Olivia found excuses to help with wedding plans. She offered to accompany Daniel to Tuck's fittings, since she had good taste, and volunteered to handle the playlist, so he wouldn't stress. I brushed it off. She was my sister. Why would she ever cross that line? One Friday night, I dropped by Daniel's apartment unannounced after work. Olivia's car was parked outside. Inside, she was sitting on the couch, barefoot, glass of wine in hand, laughing at something Daniel said. The sight froze me. Her heels were on the floor beside his shoes. Did I interrupt something? I asked. My voice was too calm for what I felt inside. Olivia jumped up, stammering that they were just finalizing the seating chart. Daniel nodded quickly, avoiding my eyes. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. That night, I didn't sleep. My mind replayed every look, every laugh they'd shared recently. I tried to convince myself I was overreacting, until the next morning, I saw a message from her pop up on Daniel's phone. I can't stop thinking about last night. My hands shook. I didn't confront him immediately. Instead, I decided to wait and see just how far my sister would go. Over the next few days, Olivia's tone toward me changed. She called less, texted less, and when she did, her words were coated in fake sweetness. You sure Daniel's ready for marriage? She'd tease. He seems so easily distracted. Every time she spoke his name, I felt a pulse of anger, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing it. Instead, I planned my next move. I asked Daniel if he'd like to have dinner with my family next Sunday, a formal introduction to his future in-laws. He agreed, completely unaware of what I was really planning. I invited Olivia too, of course. I wanted her to witness it all. When Sunday came, I dressed carefully. A calm exterior, a soft smile, as if nothing was wrong. My parents had always admired Daniel, but they'd never met his family. What Olivia didn't know was that his parents were flying in that weekend, and they had quite a reputation. The dinner started awkwardly. Olivia arrived in a glittering silver dress, far too formal for the occasion, her perfume trailing behind her like arrogance. Daniel greeted her politely, oblivious to her intentions. My parents chatted, the clinking of silverware filling the air. Halfway through the meal, I heard the doorbell. "Oh, that must be them," I said, standing. Olivia frowned. "Them." I opened the door, and in walked Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. Daniel's parents. The Bennetts weren't just well-known, they were intimidating. Old money, serious presence, the kind of people who could make a room fall silent. "Mom, Dad," Daniel said, startled. "You made it." They smiled warmly at me, then at my family. But when Mrs. Bennett turned her eyes toward Olivia, the sparkle in her expression vanished. Her lips tightened. "You," she said coldly. "We've met before." Olivia froze. The color drained from her face. The room went still. Even Daniel looked confused. "You've met?" he asked, glancing between his mother and Olivia. Mrs. Bennett didn't answer right away. She set her purse down with deliberate calm, her gaze locked on my sister. "Yes. At the charity gala last winter," she said finally, her tone sharp. "You introduced yourself as Olivia Grace, remember?" I watched Olivia's throat move as she swallowed hard. "Oh yes," she stammered. "Right. I didn't realize you were Daniel's mother." Mrs. Bennett smiled tightly. "You certainly didn't act like you were expecting to meet my son's fiancé that night." My father looked bewildered. "What's going on here?" he asked, but no one answered him. I could still picture the scene from that gala, which Mrs. Bennet described next in excruciating detail. Apparently, Olivia had spent most of the evening flirting with Daniel's father's business partner and introducing herself as an actress in Los Angeles rather than the unemployed interior consultant she claimed to be back home. She'd even implied she was single and looking for the right man to build a future with. Daniel's mother turned to me then, her expression softening. I thought she was charming, at first, but she left quite an impression on a few of our guests, and not in the best way. Olivia's cheeks turned scarlet. "That's completely taken out of context," she said quickly, forcing a laugh. "I was networking, that's all. I didn't even know Daniel existed back then." Daniel sat frozen, his fork halfway to his mouth. His parents exchanged glances, the kind that said everything without words. I didn't have to add a thing. My silence spoke louder than any accusation. When dinner ended, Olivia made some excuse about feeling unwell and rushed out before dessert was served. My mother followed her out, concerned. I stayed behind, helping Mrs. Bennet clear the table. "She reminds me of someone I used to know," Mrs. Bennet said quietly, stacking plates. "Beautiful, ambitious, but dangerous when she feels overlooked." I nodded, my heart thudding. "That's accurate." Daniel looked at me across the kitchen, his expression unreadable. "Did you know she met my parents before?" "I didn't," I said truthfully. But I had a feeling she wasn't being honest with either of us. He rubbed his forehead, sighing. "I should have seen it. She's been acting strange lately." That night, after everyone left, my phone buzzed. A message from Olivia. "You think you've won. You just made a fool of me in front of everyone." I stared at the screen, feeling a strange calm. Then I typed back, "No, Olivia. You did that all by yourself." The next morning, I woke up to a storm of missed calls from my mother. I ignored them for a while, sipping coffee in silence. Daniel was already at work, pretending everything was fine. But the tension in his voice earlier told me otherwise. When I finally picked up, Mom's voice came through sharp and frantic. "What happened last night?" "Olivia came home in tears, saying you humiliated her." "She humiliated herself," I replied evenly. "She's been meddling in my relationship for months, Mom. I just let her face the truth." Mom sighed heavily. "You know how sensitive she is. She says Daniel's mother accused her of being flirtatious." "She was flirtatious," I said, "and not just at that gala." There was a pause. "You sound different," Mom said quietly. "Colder. Maybe I'm just done being the forgiving sister." After we hung up, I sat by the window, replaying every small betrayal I'd let slide, every sarcastic compliment, every accidental dig at my life. For years, Olivia had made me feel like I was living in her shadow. But now, for once, she was the one exposed. Still, part of me felt uneasy. Olivia wasn't the type to retreat quietly. That evening, Daniel came home earlier than usual. He looked restless. "Your sister texted me," he said, tossing his phone on the counter. My stomach clenched. "What did she say?" He hesitated. "That she wants to talk. She said there's something I should know about you." Of course she did. I forced a calm tone. "And what exactly do you think she's going to tell you?" He rubbed his neck. "I don't know, but I told her I wasn't interested in drama." I nodded slowly, though my pulse quickened. Olivia never gave up without striking back. That night, as I lay in bed beside Daniel, I couldn't shake the feeling that my sister wasn't done yet, that her next move would be much darker. I didn't have to wait long. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My phone was buzzing nonstop, messages from mutual friends, co-workers, even my aunt. All of them asking the same question. Did you really cheat on Daniel? My heart dropped. I opened Instagram. Olivia had posted a photo, an old one of me hugging a male friend at a party years ago, with the caption, "Some people look perfect on the outside, but masks always fall before the wedding broken heart #truth hurts." Thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments. I could barely breathe. The post wasn't explicit, but it didn't need to be. The implication was clear. She was trying to destroy me. Daniel walked into the kitchen, holding his phone, his face pale. "What the hell is this?" he demanded. "Exactly what it looks like, Olivia's last pathetic attempt at revenge," I said. My voice trembled, but I forced myself to stay calm. "That's Ben, my college friend. You've met him. He's married." Daniel rubbed his temples. I know, but my mother saw the post. She called this morning. She's furious. Furious at me. She said it's bad press for the family, he muttered. She doesn't want this kind of scandal before the wedding. I stared at him, disbelief washing over me. So your mother's image matters more than what's true. He didn't answer. That was the moment something inside me cracked. I'd spent years trying to keep the peace, with my family, with Olivia, with everyone. But this time, I wouldn't stay silent. I called my friend Ben immediately. Within minutes, he commented on Olivia's post. This photo was from my engagement party. My wife took it. Please don't spread lies. Then I posted my own statement, calm, precise, and cutting. It's sad when jealousy turns into obsession. I wish my sister peace and boundaries. The comments exploded again, this time in my favor. People started defending me, calling Olivia out for being toxic. Within hours, she deleted the post. But the damage was done. My trust in Daniel wavered. His hesitation, his concern for appearances, it all felt like a betrayal of its own. That evening, he came home quiet. He set his phone down and said softly, maybe we should postpone the wedding. Just until things calm down. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then I smiled, small, sharp. No, Daniel. We're not postponing anything. He looked up, startled. Because I have a better idea, I continued. Let's move the date up instead. He frowned. Why would we? So Olivia can attend, I interrupted. She wouldn't want to miss my big day, would she? He studied me carefully, realizing I was up to something. What are you planning? Closure, I said simply. And maybe a little bit of truth. That night, as he slept, I drafted a new guest list. Olivia's name was still there, in bold. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of arrangements. I moved the wedding up to an earlier date, claiming I wanted a more intimate event. Daniel seemed relieved, though wary. He didn't question my motives. He never did when I spoke with calm confidence. Meanwhile, Olivia went silent. Not a word, not a text, not a post. That worried me more than her attacks. Silence for her was never peace, it was preparation. 2 days before the ceremony, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. I found her standing in the hallway, sunglasses hiding her eyes, a bouquet in her hand. I came to apologize, she said softly. I raised an eyebrow. Really? You chose flowers instead of another smear campaign. She sighed, stepping closer. I lost control, okay? I was hurt. I didn't mean to make things worse. Her tone was shaky, almost believable, but I'd grown immune to her performances. You tried to ruin my life, I said quietly. And now you want forgiveness. I just don't want us to hate each other forever, she whispered. You're my sister. For a moment, I studied her. The same sister who had smiled when she confessed her betrayal, who'd tried to steal the one person I loved most. And now she was here, pretending remorse. Then come to the wedding, I said finally. If you really mean that, you'll be there. She blinked, surprised. You still want me there? Oh, absolutely, I said, my voice calm, deliberate. Front row. She hesitated, then smiled faintly. Okay. When she left, I felt an odd calm. It wasn't forgiveness, it was closure in disguise. The night before the ceremony, Daniel asked again if I was sure. It's been messy, he said, taking my hand. Are you sure you want her there? Yes, I replied. Because she needs to see exactly what she lost and what she'll never have. He looked puzzled but didn't press further. When I finally went to bed, I replayed everything, her smirk, her lies, her fear when Mrs. Bennet recognized her. Tomorrow, all of it would come full circle, and for the first time in months, I fell asleep smiling. The wedding day dawned bright and cruelly beautiful, the kind of morning that feels too perfect to be real. The air smelled of white roses and sea salt from the coastal venue Daniel's parents had booked. Everything gleamed, the glass chapel, the linen tablecloths, even the sky itself. I stood before the mirror in my dressing suite, my reflection serene. My hair pinned flawlessly, my dress a soft ivory, elegant, understated. Beside me, my maid of honor fussed with my veil. You're glowing, she said. Maybe it's peace, I replied, though deep down it was something darker. Daniel's family arrived early, beaming with pride. His mother, always so composed, hugged me and whispered, You look radiant, darling. You're everything we hoped for Daniel. Then Olivia walked in. She wore a crimson dress, too short, too bold, too deliberate. The moment she entered, the room's warmth vanished. Heads turned. Her lipstick matched the shade of her dress, and her eyes glimmered with something sharp and dangerous. "You made it," I said, smiling. "Of course," she replied, her tone smooth. "I wouldn't miss my sister's big day." My maid of honor froze between us, sensing the undercurrent. Olivia leaned in, lowering her voice. "You really think this fixes everything? That marrying him means you win?" I tilted my head slightly. "This isn't about winning, Liv. It's about ending." Her smile faltered. "Ending what?" Before I could answer, Mrs. Bennet entered, saving me the trouble. "Ah, Olivia," she said coldly, her tone razor-sharp beneath her smile. "So nice to see you again. Still, pursuing creative networking, I assume?" Olivia flushed. "Excuse me." Mrs. Bennet simply turned to me and said, "You ready, dear? It's time." As I walked down the aisle, I could feel Olivia's eyes burning into my back. Daniel waited at the altar, nervous but smiling, unaware of the storm brewing behind him. The ceremony was perfect, vows exchanged, rings slipped on fingers, applause erupting, as the officiant pronounced us husband and wife. But my heart wasn't racing from love. It was the anticipation of what came next. At the reception, the Bennets had prepared a surprise for us, a slideshow of childhood photos and family memories. Halfway through, one of the images froze the room. There she was, Olivia, in a glittering black gown, standing very close to a man who wasn't Daniel, but someone older, distinguished. The caption read, "Charity Gala, December." Mrs. Bennet's voice carried across the speakers. "Ah, yes." This was taken just before Olivia approached my husband's business partner and introduced herself as Daniel's fiancé. A stunned silence followed. Olivia's face went white. "That's not true," she gasped. Mrs. Bennet's husband stood, calm and unflinching. "Actually it is," he said. "Half the board was there." Guests whispered. Daniel turned slowly toward Olivia, disbelief and disgust mixing in his expression. I just sipped my champagne, eyes locked on hers. Her lips trembled. "You planned this," she hissed across the room. I smiled faintly. "No, Liv. You did, the moment you tried to ruin me." She stood abruptly, knocking over her glass, and stormed out. The crowd parted like water. No one stopped her. Daniel leaned closer to me, whispering, "What just happened?" "Justice," I murmured. But deep inside, I knew this wasn't over. An hour later, while guests danced and the band played softly, my phone buzzed again, an unknown number. I stepped out to the terrace, overlooking the ocean, and answered. It was Olivia. Her voice was shaky, half fury, half desperation. "You think you humiliated me? You've no idea what you've started." "Go home, Olivia," I said quietly. "You've embarrassed yourself enough for one lifetime." "You think Daniel's some saint? You think he didn't like the attention?" she snapped. "He flirted back. He told me things you'd never want to hear." For a moment, my heart skipped. "You're lying." She laughed, low and bitter. "Believe what you want. But I'm not the only snake at your table tonight." Then she hung up. I stood there, wind whipping through my hair, trying to steady my breathing. Her words felt like poison, deliberate, cold, designed to break me. I went back inside, and Daniel was on the dance floor talking to one of the bridesmaids. When he saw me, his smile faltered. "Everything okay?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Fine." But the seed had been planted, just like she knew it would be. Later that night, after the guests were gone and the candles burned low, I sat by the window of our honeymoon suite, still in my wedding dress, staring at the ocean. Daniel was asleep, one hand draped over my waist. I thought of Olivia, the rage in her voice, the jealousy in her eyes, and the way she had looked at him since day one. Maybe this was her final act. Or maybe it was just the beginning. Because with Olivia, there was always one more game to play. The following morning, the ocean outside our hotel window looked impossibly calm, like it was mocking me. I sat at the breakfast table in my robe, staring at my untouched coffee. Daniel was still in bed, scrolling through his phone, humming softly as if yesterday hadn't happened. "Do you want to talk about Olivia?" I finally asked. He looked up, confused. "What about her?" "She called me last night." That got his attention. He frowned. "What did she want?" She said you flirted with her, that you told her things you'd never tell me. He blinked, stunned. What? That's insane. Is it? I asked quietly, meeting his gaze. Because the way she acts, the things she says, they're too specific to be random. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands. I swear to you, I never crossed that line. She came on to me, yes, but I shut her down every time. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to start a war between you two. I studied him carefully, searching for cracks in his words. So you hid it to protect her? To protect you, he said firmly. I knew she'd twist things. That's exactly what she's doing now. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The silence felt heavy but not hostile, just tired. Finally, I sighed. If that's true, then she's more dangerous than I thought. He reached across the table, taking my hand. I love you. Whatever she says, don't let her poison this. I nodded, though something inside me still stirred, not doubt but dread. Olivia's silence wouldn't last long. She'd always been the type to come back swinging. When we returned home, I found out I was right. There was an envelope on our doorstep, no return address, just my name written in her perfect cursive. Inside was a single photograph. It showed Daniel and Olivia standing outside a cafe months before our engagement, laughing over coffee. Too close. Too familiar. The note beneath it read, "You can't steal what was already shared." My hands shook as I held the photo. The date stamp in the corner was from almost a year ago. Daniel's voice came from behind me. What's that? I turned slowly. Proof, I said, my voice low. Or maybe just another one of her games. He took the photo, frowned, then sighed. That was when she came to my office to surprise you for your birthday. She insisted we get coffee while she waited. I didn't think it meant anything. I wanted to believe him. God, I did. But the timing, the look on Olivia's face, it all made my stomach twist. She's not done, I whispered. He stepped closer. Then let's end it together. His tone was steady, but his eyes, they carried guilt. Or fear. Maybe both. A week later, I got the message that would change everything. It wasn't from Olivia this time, it was from Mrs. Bennet. Can you come by the estate today? There's something about your sister you should see. When I arrived, Mrs. Bennet led me into her husband's study. On the desk was a small stack of printed emails, screenshots, photos, messages. My name and Daniel's appeared in several of them. But the sender was Olivia. She had been emailing Daniel's father for months, pretending to be an event coordinator for our wedding. In those messages, she sent private details about our plans, our guest list, and subtle jabs at my character. I'm just worried she's rushing into this, she wrote in one. Daniel deserves stability, someone who truly understands him. Mrs. Bennet folded her arms. She also hinted that she and Daniel had history. We verified everything. It's false, but she worked hard to make us doubt you. I felt my throat tighten. Why would she go that far? She's obsessed, Mrs. Bennet said simply. With your life. With him. With the attention she thinks she deserves. I stood there numb. Olivia hadn't just tried to steal my fiancé, she tried to replace me. When I got home that night, Daniel was waiting by the window. I told him everything. He listened in silence, his jaw clenched. Then he said, I'll handle it. No, I said. I will. I called Olivia. She answered after the second ring, her tone defiant. So did they tell you? That I was right? Actually, I said, my voice calm and steady, they showed me your emails. Every single one. Silence. You wanted my life, Liv. My home, my fiancé, my peace. But you forgot something. When you build lies that big, they always collapse under their own weight. I heard her sharp intake of breath. You think you've won. This wasn't a game, I said softly. But if it was, it's over. I hung up before she could answer. That night, Daniel and I sat outside on the balcony, watching the lights of the city flicker. Do you think she'll stop now? He asked. I don't know, I said. But for the first time, I don't care. Because Olivia could chase my shadow all she wanted, but she'd never stand in my light again.